What's up, everybody? It's Lyds, and we are finally back for some more Thronebreaker. It has been an extremely long time, I know, because unfortunately, I lost my voice for a little over a month, and so we have not played Thronebreaker for a little over a month, because this has, for the most part, been the game that I'm recording when I'm not recording other things, and I had to scale things back a little bit to make sure that I could, well, get my voice back. But I'm happy to be back, because we left off at a very interesting point in time. We are just at the beginning here in, I believe it was Ongren, which I have recently realized is, I believe, one of the locations from early on in The Witcher 2. In fact, this spot right here, I think, is one of the cities from The Witcher 2. And we had this discussion, this question as to whether some members of our team were, in fact, spies for Nilfgaard. And, of course, it was the two people who I thought could never be spies. Surely they had too much plot armor for that to be the case. But no, apparently, both Reynard and Gascon were maybe assisting the Nilfgaardians is a little bit of a strong way of phrasing it, but still, that was quite the shock. And so we just defeated the Nilfgaardians here in, I believe it was Red Lavadin. So let's talk to some of these people, pick up some loot, and I think from there on out, we'll be perhaps just taking a quick detour in this direction, see if we can loot anything there, and then the main quest, I think, is, yeah, all the way over here, which I don't know if we can cut some corners there, but this looks like, if we're going through here, that is quite the maze-like area. Reminds me a bit of Molderwood. I mean, perhaps even more windy than that area was, so lots of stuff for us to do there, I'm sure. But let's chat it up here, because I don't recall if we've spoken to these people yet. No, I don't speak Nilfgaardian, but I imagine that guy is not terribly happy with us. Okay, I mean, can make out one word there, but that's about it. Oh, not just loot, an actual note as well. Let's see. To Palatine or Palatine Caldwell, now that's a familiar name. Duke Ardal Aepdahi, Grand Chancellor, okay, and that's the leader of the Nilfgaardian forces that have been coming here. Commander of Army Group East. Your request to return to Lyria has been rejected. Oh, interesting. So, of course, he and, well, our son have been the figureheads behind Lyria and Rivia, supposedly pretending, kind of, sort of, to run things in our stead as we've been, of course, banished. But it seems like, in truth, it is the Nilfgaardians who are really running things, and perhaps this is just evidence of that fact. So your request to return to Lyria has been rejected, so he doesn't even get to choose which of the two territories he is supposedly the number 2 in command. He can't even choose which one to go to. I agree with your argument that King Willem requires the support of an experienced politician. That is why I shall advise him should the need arise. Exactly. There's all the proof you need. For now, your talents are more useful in Ongren. Okay, so I think that was one of the reasons why we were planning to go here, is because we had a suspicion that we might run into Caldwell. As you know, the Emperor depends on the rapid delivery of building materials to our shipyards. I advise you to make the fulfillment of his wishes your top priority. Delays are unacceptable. So if we can shut down this delivery, I think that was our main objective. Was after leaving Mahakam, we were trying to find some significant way to thwart the Nilfgaardians in anticipation of a future, perhaps not so distant, major fight against the Nilfgaardians, and we want to try to win a little bit of public support and perhaps some more allies before we do so, and this could be just the way to do it. So, also, oh, the Emperor, okay, I was going to say, it seemed for a second there like he was alluding to someone who had more power than even the Chancellor, who has for the most part been the most significant of all the Nilfgaardians that we've seen or heard of thus far. And I mean, obviously the Emperor is the top dog in all of Nilfgaard, but I don't think we're about to see the Emperor anytime soon.
I'll keep a close eye on him, Mom. Don't you fret.
Okay, Mom.
I'll keep a close eye on him, Mom. Don't you fret.
Okay, have we looked at this spot yet? No, definitely not. Okay, so we learn of several battles and a puzzle. Okay, but I think we're still gonna just take a quick look over here. I imagine we probably saw that loot from where we first entered the area. That's a lot. Where we first entered the area, which I think was over here, and we just didn't actually have access to it from that angle. Oh, wait, what? Is there more here? Saw that, but it looked for a second like there was another looting location right under him, but maybe not. Okay. Now, is there anything else awaiting us here? Any surprises? We also do have an update there. I think just before we were theorizing about who the spies might have been, we talked to many of our teammates, but not quite all of them. And we thought, okay, surely the ones that we aren't going to talk to, maybe that means that, maybe our theory was that they were perhaps going to be the spies. One of those people, I think, was Isbel. And then after this match, after that previous confrontation, she did say she wanted to speak to us. So I think that's what we're seeing there. So let's do that soon. But for the moment... Oh, recruits. Okay. Ooh, and a chest. Not just any loot. Okay, that's considerably less loot. So I assume the big one we got before was just because it was from the aftermath of one of those major confrontations. So what do we have here? A Barnabas. Nice Barnabas picture for multiplayer Gwent. Okay. Now, I assume that was probably the loot that we saw before. Yeah, there may not be anything else in this corner, but we'll just make sure there's nothing hiding in any corners here. That's a Nilfgaardian flag, so that's definitely not going to give us recruits. Yeah, that's the edge. Okay. So we heard some rumor of some nasty types of monsters that hang out in this area, but we've not seen much besides just obviously those Nilfgaardians thus far, so we really don't know much about this area just yet. I think if I'm remembering my Witcher 2 geography at all, if I recall correctly, in The Witcher 2, you start off in the west of here in Temeria, or the edge of Temeria, then it's Ongrin, and then they go further east to Edirn. Now, obviously, we've been to Edirn already, so I think we're kind of going in reverse order there. We went Edirn, really, Lyria, north to Edirn. Then I think we went north-ish again to Mahakam. Now we've gone south and slightly west to Ongrin, and I imagine that means we're perhaps next going to go further west to maybe Temeria, which is a pretty significant place in The Witcher 1 and to a certain extent Witcher 3 as well. So that'll be interesting to see if that ends up happening. And then perhaps even further from there, if we were to go southwest, I think that's Sintra. If we go dead south, then that's probably Rivia, and I imagine that might be where we end.
It. Charming this county the Blackclads granted Coldwell to rape.
Yes, a gift so lovely Coldwell could not refuse. Epdahi, it seems, wished to be rid of the Count, so as to rule Lyria alone.
I do wonder why they quarrelled.
Coldwell wished to rule by Willem's hand, and by his claim. Of little benefit to Nilfgaard, so the general disapproved.
As do I, by all means.
Yeah, that does seem right. Basically, everyone is just trying to use Willem, because although he's technically now the king, kind of, sort of, if you want to call him that, when we are still supposed to be the queen, everyone seems to know that he's not really carrying much power, and so it's just a matter of who behind the scenes is really running things. Is it going to be Caldwell, or is it the Nilfgaardians? Obviously, the Nilfgaardians want to be them, not Caldwell. Hence why they have now functionally banished Caldwell over here. But let's take a look now, perhaps. I think this is going to be Isbel. Thought that was an exclamation point for a second there. I was like, who is this dude? But actually, though, who are those dudes? I'm not sure who those dudes are, but okay. Pay them no mind. It's Isbel who we're here to talk to.
Pleased to see you again, Mom. You need something?
Okay, so what was it exactly? She said she wanted to speak with us, but I'm not sure she ever specified what it was. Now, Isbel, we've not spoken to her much. She remains quite mysterious. Her background, we really don't know it. We encountered her when she was technically assisting our enemies, and then she said, oh, no, don't worry about me. As long as you promise not to make me fight and kill people, then I'll side with you. But besides that, she really hasn't told us much else.
You wish to speak with me? In private?
Which I think may have been a reason why previously I was a little bit suspicious of her, before we learned that, at least it seemed as though, the two spies, even though I thought it was going to be just one, were Gascon and Reynard. Now there's a chance that maybe everybody is a spy, after all.
Yes, Mom. I've given thought to certain matters. The time's come to explain and reveal my decisions.
Oh?
I've not been entirely honest. But I've seen you very much deserve the truth.
Okay. Hopefully that gives us some answers then.
You're brave, wise, and above all, you've a good heart. And thus you're unlike any other ruler I've ever met, had dealings with.
Seems like we're off to a good start.
Isbel, what is it you wish to say? You're starting to worry me.
Yeah, I think she's trying to butter us up here. Clearly, this is going to be some, I would think, pretty heavy-hitting stuff.
I told you of Sintra and Sodden. Do you recall? It's true, I took part in that war. Yet I fought for the Empire.
I thought so. I suspected. As I was just kind of hinting, she did kind of technically sort of assist the Nilfgaardians when we first encountered her. I mean, technically we didn't even know it was her who was basically resurrecting. Was it actually Nilfgaardians or was it Aedirnians who had rebelled against the other Aedirnians? So basically Aedirnians who had sided with Nilfgaard. So, I mean, it was perhaps unspoken, but kind of assumed that at one point in time, she was in fact supporting the Nilfgaardians, and it seemed a little bit odd for that reason that she was so quick to just change sides, but maybe that's why she didn't really talk about it before, until now at least.
What? I'm not certain I understand.
Which is also because I kind of suspected that, but didn't say that. That's one of the reasons why I was also thinking that she was probably perhaps going to be one of those spies, but it is odd that at least there haven't really been any other more direct ties or callbacks to that situation.
My name is Isbel'S of Nilfgaard. I wish I could say I am from a conquered province. I wish I had that luxury. But no, I hail from the city of the Golden Towers itself.
Yeah, so she's from the capital of Nilfgaard, so there's no question at all as to whether she's a Nilfgaardian or not. She absolutely 100% is. I've heard enough be gone, so I mean, yeah, I guess you could make the case that, hey, that alone is reason enough to say, you are our enemy, get out of here, how dare you try to deceive us like that, clearly there is no good that can come of this situation, get out. On the other hand, as I said, despite the fact that that would, by most accounts, mean, yeah, she probably would, under most circumstances, be our enemy. She has not really done anything to thwart our efforts to take down the Nilfgaardians thus far. So, for that reason, does that mean she's earned our trust, even despite her history? Can we keep her on our team? Or is it just a matter of time before she suddenly shows her true colors and backstabs us? I think we at least hear her out here.
My, I'd certainly not expected that. Please, tell me more.
Also, the fact that her card in Gwent multiplayer is Nilfgaard card, but it also kind of sort of technically did give it a little way, you know?
I went straight from the academy to the army, as mages do in Nilfgaard. Yet I truly believed our aim to be to build a better world. With our help, the mages, the Emperor conquered realm after realm, right up to the Amel Mountains.
Okay, yes.
Yet he was not sated, and turned his greedy eyes to the north. But the north stood and faced him. I'll never forget the bloodbath he wrought in Sintra. It was unspeakable.
Yeah, so I don't know that much about Sintra because it doesn't feature much at all in the games 1, 2, or 3 for The Witcher. However, from my understanding from the books, what I can read between the lines, I think it is, or at least was, once considered sort of the key city, or the key kingdom, the most important of all the Northern Realms. And so, for the Nilfgaardians to have destroyed Sintra was sort of the height of their success against the Northern Realms. Taking down the crown jewel of the Northern Realms was sort of the sign of, hey, no one else can stand a chance if they can take down Sintra. So, okay.
He sought to intimidate us. He united us instead.
That is, unless the Northern Realms, who individually might stand no chance against Nilfgaard, if they were to combine their strength, then that would really be the only way they'd ever stand a chance.
Indeed. At Sodden, When chaos engulfed the Imperial army, I saw my chance to flee the madness and begin life anew.
And then similarly, Sodden, which I think is pretty close to Sintra. I don't think it technically is Sintra. I want to say it's like slightly east of it. Maybe southeast and just below Rivia in that case. Trying to paint my mental picture of where all the Northern Realms are exactly. But that's another one that just gets thrown around and mentioned a lot in the games, but I, again, can sort of imagine that that must be a key feature in the books, which, in case I haven't mentioned that before, no, I've not read the books, but I played the games and watched the Netflix series 1 and 2, now that that's, going to be the most accurate source of information on the primary source material, but again, I assume that means it's probably a pretty big theme, pretty big component of the books themselves.
And I did just that. I never sought thereafter to rejoin my countrymen or return to my home. Instead, I stayed in the north and swore never again to use my magic to harm others.
Okay, and I also think that was relatively recent as well. So Isbel, we also don't have a great sense as to how old she is. She kind of talks like this old, weak woman. She has the gray hair and still don't really know what to make of her left arm there, where it looks like her skin is patched together like a zombie, which kind of gave the impression that, she was perhaps this extremely old, perhaps, not even human, someone who was brought back from the dead because she's so ancient, but, she was participating in these conflicts that were all very recent, and perhaps it's not like, some horror story where she's actually 3,000 years old and was revived after having been, thought dead for all those years or something like that. When you don't know that much about characters like this, then sometimes your imagination tends to run a little bit wild, right?
Yet I cannot stand idle as the Emperor perpetrates atrocity after atrocity. I wish to fight at your side.
Okay, so the thing with Isbel was that when we met her, she had said, I'm willing to join you as long as you don't force me to fight/kill anyone. And so there were several times where we had some encounters where it seemed like, okay, we have what is a pretty outright aggressive, violent approach, which perhaps Isbel would disapprove of and might eventually lead to her wanting to leave our group. And so we were pretty conscious of that and tried to avoid forcing ourselves into any of those types of situations, any of those types of decisions. And so perhaps this is sort of the answer to or at least the result of all those tests, and she's basically saying, hey, you passed, so that's good. And once again, that means now we basically are presented with that same choice we had before. Either we can say, get the heck out of here, you're a Nilfgaardian, or we can say, all right, you've done enough at this point that even though some things would lead us to believe that you are not truly a friend and we shouldn't really trust you, you could at any point in time go back to supporting the Nilfgaardians, and seeing as how you're currently in our ranks, there are any of a number of things you could do to completely sabotage our war efforts against the Nilfgaardians. We don't want you anymore, but I think she seems genuine to me, and I think this is, kind of similar to what we learned with Gascon and with Reynard, in that, yes, sure, in some aspects, they have betrayed us, but in very minor, perhaps forgivable ways, given all the other things that we know about those people. And I think we can do the same here for Isbel and say, you know what, we can give you a chance here.
All deserve a second chance. Yet from now on, there are to be no more secrets between us.
Yeah, so I mean, we're giving people a lot of second chances right now, but that's sort of, I think, the place where we need to be is, all right, we're giving you a warning here. And in Isbel's case, this is all stuff she's done in the past. There hasn't really been a single thing since she's joined us that she's done that have made us second guess whose side she's really on here. So it's mostly just that she was really mysterious. So that in and of itself is not a crime. It's just that, if Isbel, Gascon, or Reynard are to do something else that is very clearly against the wishes of Meve, Lyria, and Rivia, and in support of the Nilfgaardians, then we will not be so patient anymore.
Certainly. I thank you. You've no idea what this means to me.
Yeah, then we would not be so forgiving, but at least for now.
Oh, and Isbel. This must stay between us alone.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. Definitely.
I appreciate the concern, Mom, but you needn't worry about me. I've lived for some time in the north, and dare say I know how to get by.
See, this is what I mean, like, live for some time in the north. As I said, I thought the battles of Sodden and Sintra were pretty recent, but I don't know the specifics. And that kind of implies that, maybe she is this absolutely ancient person who's, several thousand years old. And is like, oh, come on, Meve. You're not teaching me anything I don't already know. Oh! And we actually got a new card from this Isbel Destroyer? Excuse me? What? The polar opposite of everything that she previously stood for? Okay, well, let's claim it. And I guess we can ask more about Nilfgaard, but we'll obviously want to take a look at that card as well.
City of the Golden Towers. Don't think I know any soul who's seen it with their own eyes.
Yeah, and so to clarify, the capital of Nilfgaard is also called Nilfgaard, and so the City of the Golden Towers is another name for the city itself within the empire that is Nilfgaard.
Did you know many common folk believe they're made of real gold, the towers? Yet they're named for how the southern sun dances off their rooftops.
Okay.
My family lived in the capital long before Nilfgaard was ever an empire.
Oh!
The city is of great beauty, was always a source of pride, turned arrogance in time.
Another thing that kind of hints at maybe she is a lot older than everyone else, because Nilfgaard, I'm pretty sure, has been there for a very long time now. Generally speaking, all the major cities, whether they be from the Northern Realms or I imagine from Nilfgaard as well, were previously of elven origin, and then eventually the humans fought the elves, in many cases, after having defeated them, built their biggest cities on top of what were previously elven cities because they already had the infrastructure and what have you, so it just made things easier. So it sounds like maybe that was the case here, and basically Isbel predated, or at least her family, and perhaps Isbel herself, predated the Nilfgaardian Empire, and so she knew of this place and lived in this place before it was of Nilfgaardian control and was just an elven kingdom instead. And perhaps at least some of her family members lived through that battle between the humans and the elves, and so now they're a little less... They are not huge fans of the Nilfgaardians because they know, hey, this wasn't even originally the Nilfgaardians who made this place, so it's not really yours to call your own. But, again, still a little cryptic there.
When I was but a lass, my father would take me to the grand amphitheater to watch the gladiators fight.
Okay, that does kind of seem like a human thing, though. I'm not sure the elves ever did that.
A daughter of Nilfgaard should grow accustomed to the sight of blood, he said. For to conquer the world was our destiny.
Yeah.
Dreadful. You must have hated it.
It's like, oh no, actually I loved it. And that's why death and destruction is everything that I live for right now. Yeah, that was all completely just a farce. That was all just, I was just hiding that before. Just wanted to make you very, very, just to give you no hint at all, no clue as to how actually I crave the blood that the blood and destruction and death from the battlefield, and so I just pretended that I never wanted to participate in any of that stuff, and you believed me.
At the time, I saw nothing wrong in it. I admired the gladiators for their bravery, skill, finesse. Though now it shames me to admit it.
Okay, so learning a lot more about Isbel. Still, lots of questions about the specifics of her
Duty
past.
calls. I must go.
Well, let's head out.
Should you need me, I'll be here.
And so that means we have confirmed that there are at least now 3 teammates who have at least some ties to Nilfgaard. One of which I expected, yes, with Isbel. The other 2 I very much did not, because again, I thought they had too much plot armor as the sort of 2 primary companions of ours. I did not think they were ever going to be the ones to rat us out to Nilfgaard, but hopefully, that is largely a thing of the past. We do, of course, have a new card, though. And so let's take a look. Does it replace our old one, or do we still have the original? The original Isbel. I'm not sure I'm seeing it. Where's the Grim Plus? Yeah, it might have just replaced our old one. Let's see. So previously, whenever we took damage, she would increase the value of her order ability, and then we'd use her order ability, and she would give us boost based on how much damage we'd taken. But now it's, okay, damage enemies at random by the total damage taken during this battle. Yeah, so it's the same general idea, except instead of boosting our teammates, she's damaging our enemies randomly, though. So, I mean, as the boosts were also random. But basically, it's just turning it from a boosting ability to a damaging ability. So, I suppose the name is fitting in that case. So, potentially still a quite powerful card, but a sort of different use case here. Generally speaking, at least against, yeah, I would say in most situations, the damage tends to be more valuable than the boosting, because oftentimes we'll find ourselves in encounters where there's one specific enemy or group of enemies that we need to destroy, and that's sort of our guaranteed win condition. You know, obviously they're the ones where you just need to outscore your opponents, but more often it seems like it's either do that, or if you can take out a specific enemy, then it's an automatic and immediate win. So I think that'll be a good improvement for us. I mean, technically it's not, in terms of points value, there's not any, direct difference, and technically speaking, there is such a thing as having more damage than you need. Like, if you have 100 damage against a 3-power unit, and only a 3-power unit, then, it's 97 points that you're wasting, whereas if you're boosting for 97 points, then there's no such thing as over-boosting. So in some situations, it actually could still be worse, but I'll choose to remain optimistic about it. Throw her into the deck. Yeah, I think that's confirmation that she did in fact replace the old version, because I did not see her here, and then we had 24 out of 25 cards in her deck, so it looks like they removed her because there's a new version of her, but we'll put the new version in. Okay. So that's interesting. I'm curious to test that out. So I guess, in truth, it'll be situational. In some cases, we might prefer to have had the old boost-centric version instead, but hopefully we'll find that the damage will prove useful as well. So let's see here. We know of several battles. We know of how we get here. That's probably only a place where we go to once we wind all the way around. Yeah, as I was saying before, this looks like a serious maze. Like, does that go all the way here? Get that? Like, that might be the very last spot. Oddly enough, hold on. Can we see it from here? One day, perhaps we'll get there, but that might be the single most difficult location to get to, or at least the spot we need to go the furthest to get to. I was going to say, I did not intentionally slow down there. It made me think we were about to run into some kind of quest-related thing. In terms of upgrades, let's take a quick look there as well. Because it's been a little while since we last checked this. And we are starting to build up a little bit more in the way of resources. We technically do have enough if we'd like to upgrade our mess tent and have our recruit cap not get expended so quickly. I mean, we still have much higher recruit cap than we have cards counting toward that, so that's not really an immediate concern. But, I mean, if we're concerned about potentially running into a situation like we saw in Mahakam where we potentially lose all of our resources, then, we might not want to be hoarding a huge amount, but it's not like this is that big of a number right here at the moment. Other than that... Oh, we don't have enough for this, okay. Yeah, that would be decreasing the gold cost of units. Obviously, if we're not going to create much in the way of units, then it's not a huge deal, but I thought I remembered, yeah, starting matches with armor would still be helpful, and we do kind of need to go through this, what is potentially useless upgrade just to get to these ones. What is this? Oh, yeah. The scouts. That's not a huge deal, I don't think. I think we can get by without that. And more units, which we don't really care about, although the trading post could potentially be of some value to us. And then the workshop. We have new upgrades here. These might be new to us, but again, we haven't really been focusing much at all on that. What about... This is just the movement speed, right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think, the most direct benefit at this stage would be the Palisades, which does require that we go through Command Tent first, which we can't yet afford. And then Mess Tent is not out of the question. What was the, yeah, we've gotten all of those soldiers' quarters at the moment. So I'm not sure there, looks like theoretically there could be enough room for there to be a subsequent upgrade here at some point. If so, then, I mean, this was crazy expensive. I can only imagine how much that would cost, but we'll see. Do we have, yeah, I thought we might have maybe some notes or letters that we hadn't read yet, just because it seemed like this was kind of lighting up, but I think there's usually a little icon there for things that we've not yet read, so maybe we are, yeah, maybe we are good in that regard. Reports? No, I think we are good. Okay. Proceed. So there were a couple of things. Oh no, there's one battle here, which is kind of, no, on the opposite side, so it doesn't really matter which direction we go. Maybe we try checking out this spot over here. See if we can do that before we trigger the battle. See if we can figure out what the battle is. Looks like a vampire of some variety, like a catechin. Is this anything, though? Ooh, what do we have here? Let's see, report. Your Grace, the water is strewn with bodies and capsized boats. It seems the villagers tried to escape to the other side of the swamp, but were attacked by a Lyochorus, whatever the heck that thing is. We could try to fish out their possessions, but should be aware that movement along the banks may alert the monsters. Oh, man. So, yeah, it's pretty clear what this entails, giving it a try. We get a tiny bit of gold, a fair bit of wood, but we lose 8 recruits, and that is a lot. So, that is a pretty steep price to pay right there. I'm assuming this is probably one of the ones where we can come back to it on a later occasion if we need to, or if we feel the desire to. Technically speaking, if we're never, ever going to craft units, then losing recruits is not actually a big deal. So this is pretty much all upside, no downside. But it feels still, given the cost, like that is maybe not something we want to rush into. So maybe we come back here on a later occasion if that does seem necessary. But otherwise, I think we'll hold off for the time being. I think we will hold off. There's the catechin. Or at least the suspected catechin. And yeah, there's a little bit of loot right there. And otherwise, I mean, it looks like this area is going to be pretty full of such battles. So, all right, let's see if we can nab this first. We can. Don't think that's going to make a particularly big difference. But I think for this one, we're going to have to wrap things up there. So, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Happy to get back to more Thronebreaker, but I don't want to go too long today because I do think I still need to ease back into things a bit here so that I don't blow out my voice again. But I'll catch you next time.